So it turns out the best way to blow up on your socials is to talk about money. Apparently the algorithm and the social media gods love it. And every Tom, Dick and Harry seems to have an opinion on it. So in this video, we'll be talking about money, specifically how I went from earning £23,000 in my first job to over £60,000 currently. And that's basically a 100% increase in the space of 4 years. But before we get into the video, I'd just like to express some genuine gratitude from the bottom of my heart for getting my channel to 1K. I honestly can't believe that 1,000 people like my content enough to actually hit subscribe. Like, deep it. 1,000 people is the size of a small auditorium, so to me, it's a pretty big deal. And since we've hit that milestone last week Saturday, we already have 1.5k subscribers. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not promising any sort of consistency.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And I genuinely don't know what direction I want to take the channel in. So that's not really reassuring. But one thing I will say is that whenever there's a new video, it's going to provide one of these components: entertainment, value, and a lasting impact. So with that being said, be sure to hit the notification bell so you can get the heads up on my inconsistent upload schedule. Right, so in this video, I'm just going to take a trip down memory lane for each role that I've worked in corporate, talking through my thought process, strategy, and key takeaways behind each compensation package I received. So it's the year 2018, and I was a fresh-eyed graduate looking to take on the corporate world by storm, and my prospects were looking pretty good. I had about 2 concrete graduate offers on the table, and normal people would usually pick one, but I'm not normal, so I decided to accept both offers. This was possible because the start dates were staggered, so the thought process was quite simple really. I just start off one, and if I didn't like it, I'd leave and try the other one, and if I didn't like that one, then it was a bit of a sticky one basically. So my first role in corporate was for an insurance firm as a graduate consultant, and they offered me a whopping salary of 23.5k. And I remember the day I accepted the offer so vividly. I was at my uni babe's house when I got a phone call around 8:30 a.m. So I went to the kitchen to take the call because obviously I'm discussing some sensitive business here. I'm trying to make this money. So the graduate program manager was like, "Stephen, we were also impressed with you and would like to offer you the role. Initially, the salary was going to be 23.5k, but as you're going to be working out of the London office, an additional weighting has been applied, taking the total compensation to £25,000. How do you feel about that?" How do I feel about that? How do I feel about that? I was gassed. A whole 25k. Like, to add some context to this, back in 2018, if you earned up to 21k, that was when you started paying back your student finance. So my rule was pretty simple: to not earn anything less than 21k in my first job. So being offered 4k above my ideal salary was just a major W for me. Plus, I got this offer like 1 month before I was finishing uni, so overall I was pretty gassed. So I guess the takeaway from this story is to set a benchmark of how much you want to earn in your first job and stick to it. Now, in hindsight, would I have rejected the job if they offered me less than 21k? I guess we will never know.
I guess we'll never know.
But anyways, I reckon the equivalent of a 21k salary in today's job market is probably around like 30 to 35k. Now, I didn't add any formula or like inflation calculations to that. It's just the number I picked out of thin air, so it's just vibes. But to be honest, like, I hear some of the compensation packages these tech and banker grads are securing nowadays, and it's honestly wild. So moving on to my second job as a risk and compliance analyst for a big American fintech firm, I received a salary of £26,000, a joining bonus of £4,500, shares in the company, and I also got to fly out to America every year for training. So all in all, this was just really incomprehensible for a black boy that comes from Peckham, like, right? And going into this job, I didn't really have any salary negotiation strategies. It was just vibe, because I was pretty much sold on the joining bonus and the trips to America. So I guess takeaway from this would be to look at the additional perks beyond salary. So in this role, that was the bonus, trips to America, the shares, trips to America, a great healthcare plan, and the trips to America. Now, after about 18 months in the fintech space, I decided to move into the world of consulting and investments in a client-facing role. I was hired as a compliance analyst supporting investment firms with their compliance-related activities, and I was paid a salary of £32,000. I had a bit of a backbone this time and told the recruiter that I was looking for something in the 30 to 35k range. The recruiter said they were ready to pay 32k, and again, me not knowing any better, I accepted the offer with maximum efficiency. Now, the key takeaway from this is to never ever accept the first offer. Always push to see if there's wiggle room. The thing is, we need to realize that, companies will pay us £1 a year if they could. And as naive grads, we think that a job offer would be pulled from us if we reject the first offer, but that's not how it works. You're at the final stage and they have proposed an offer, which means that they want you. Now you just have to negotiate because it's a business, nothing personal. Anyways, about 1 year into the role, I progressed into a specialist part of the business as an advisory analyst, essentially advising investment firms on investment operations as well as compliance. And at this point, I was a bit more confident, so I asked for a pay rise, which took me to £36,000. But the thing is, I didn't ask for a specific pay rise because I was low-key still shook, so I just got a measly 4K pay bump. But funny enough, when I was about to leave the firm, I got offered more money, but I respectfully declined because I had my eyes set on private equity. Now, before moving into private equity, I made a quick pit stop at another consulting firm, also advising investment firms on investment operations and compliance. And I had the sexy title of senior analyst. I was paid a salary of £46,000 with a 20% bonus, which would bring my total package to about £55,000. Going into this role, I was very much in my bag just in terms of how confident I was. I had about 3 years experience underneath my belt, so I requested a salary range of 45 to 50k. And they actually tried to come back and lowball me with a 40k offer initially, which was disrespectful, so I actually declined. And then they came back with a second offer of £46,000, which I accepted. So I kind of learnt my lesson, of not accepting the first offer, which I would consider a solid W in this case. So after my pit stop in the second consulting firm, I finally entered the world of private equity via an internship in the investor relations and co-investments team. I really had no bargaining power here as I was entering a new industry in a very junior role, so I had to take what I could get. And that was initially £27,000, but then was later increased to £32,000. I didn't mind taking a 20k pay cut in compensation because I was playing the long game. So the goal was to get into the buy side and then work my way into a full-time role, either at the firm or somewhere else. And this is very common for people to do a private equity internship for about 3 to 6 months and then take a massive pay bump. So that's exactly what happened pretty much. And I guess the key takeaway here is just to understand that if you're trying to pivot into a new industry, sometimes you might have to take a step backwards before you move forward, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because at the end of the day, it's about the long game. And with that being said, 4 months after my internship, I decided to start applying for some full-time roles in the buy side, asset management to be specific, and I ended up landing an associate level role for a US asset manager in their product management team. Now, 4 years into corporate, it's fair to say that this time I had an informed salary negotiation strategy, which was basically a combination of all my learnings over the years. So when I engaged with the firm, I asked right off the bat, what was the budget? Like, what did they have for the role, right? And I ultimately just wanted to determine if I wanted to progress with the interview. They were slightly vague initially and just said upper 50s. However, this was fine because I set a benchmark of not taking anything less than 50k, which was, the first lesson that we had initially. Now, when we got to the final stages of the process, I basically got the job and they presented an offer to me. And as you guys know, you never ever accept the first offer. So I declined, and it also helps that I had an offer from another firm as well, which I was able to use as leverage. Anyways, I counter-offered, and rather than giving them a salary range, I proposed a specific number. And the key is to really be specific. And HR came back to me with an offer over 60k, a healthy bonus structure, and essentially just meeting all my demands. And yeah, there you have it, folks. That is how I've managed to secure 100% pay rise in 4 years. I hope this video is valuable. And yeah, man, if you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss a thing. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.